Hey, everybody, this is Liz with you today with somebody that you have maybe met. Some of you have met her. And first of all, I'll let you tell us your name and where are you right now?
Okay, I am Lindsay, and I am in the Copilot / Augusta office up in Blaine, Washington.
Very cool. And I wanted to have you on today for our listeners to meet you in person, find out what you do. And there's a big story behind Copilot, and we're so excited to have it growing so quickly. How many customers do you have now in Copilot?
We have just surpassed 850 customers, so that's a pretty big milestone for us.
Yes. And how long have you been working there?
So I first started January of 2024, so just over a year now.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about your schooling and your previous jobs and what it was like before you came to Augusta.
Yeah, so I did go to college. I have a bachelor's degree. It's in international studies, policy and politics in the global economy.
Ooh.
So that's my degree. Really, my options after that were either go to the Peace Corps or go work at a nonprofit, and neither of those appealed to me. So I went into the workforce, and um, yeah, I actually went and worked at a chocolate factory. So I was an operations manager at a chocolate factory for about 4.5 years before I made a career switch, and I thought I was gonna go be a physical therapist. Like, I genuinely thought I was gonna go back to school, go to PT school. So with that, I went and worked at Anytime Fitness, and so I was hired as office manager at Mike's Anytime Fitness, and that's when I first met Mike. And here we are. He snagged me from there. He recruited me to Copilot.
Yes. And all of the time that you were working at Anytime Fitness, were you also still working at the chocolate factory?
I was. Yes, I was working about like 50-hour weeks for probably over a year.
Yes,
Yep.
that's what I thought. And you'll have to tell us about that. But being at Anytime Fitness, what did you do there? Did you get certification and become a personal trainer?
Yes. Yeah. So I started out as just office manager, and then went and got my CPT, and then started training as well. So I had a couple group classes and then also some personal training clients while I was still running the operations of the gym.
And were you still planning to go and get your degree and become a physical therapist at that same time?
Honestly, probably about like 6 to 8 months in, I was like, nah. um, it's a challenge, right? It's either like it's hard once you're making money, you're in the workforce, you're enjoying what you're doing. It's a really hard decision to think about. Am I going to go back to school and sacrifice that?
Yeah. And was the gym all you expected it to be?
It was. It was great. I loved it. Like, I met so many people. They have an amazing community there. I had amazing coworkers, and like previously to working at a gym, I enjoy the gym. Like, I enjoy lifting weights. I enjoy running. So being a part of that world, like, I loved it.
That's phenomenal. And so, how was your relationship with Mike while you were working there?
Yeah, it was awesome. So he would come in like every single week. We'd meet, just kind of give us initiatives and updates from whether it's like the Anytime Fitness franchise as a whole, changes that they were making, and kind of giving us a heads up. This is how it's going to impact our gym, or also just anything that we had going on, whether it was we wanted to run challenges or add supplements to our offering for members. Like, any ideas we had, he was always super receptive towards, and we were able to make happen.
Wow. So, how long were you at Anytime Fitness?
About a year and a half total.
Okay.
Towards the end, I kind of had while I was still working at Copilot, I would still, after Copilot, go there in the evenings and train group classes or personal training clients. So
Yeah. When you were working at the gym, did you know what Mike did?
kind of. So I didn't really figure it out until later on down the road. I knew when I first started Anytime Fitness. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know who Mike was. So
Hmm.
then when he first walked in, I remember he was wearing like a yellow shirt and it was like Augusta, and I was like, "What is that?" So kind of like I was very naive. I'm not from here, so I got to understand and be like, oh, he owns this like big franchise, and like here's where he's going, like here's this direction, and he's involved in so many industries and businesses. And then I really started to understand the depths of such an incredible impact he has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then as you worked there, did you find out more and more about how big it was and all of this? Because the reason I asked is because I talked to the current manager of Anytime Fitness the other day, and she was like, "What do you do exactly? What is the what is Augusta?" And I was like, "Oh man, we need to get together."
Yeah, that is pretty much it. I mean, like the gym is kind of its own little bubble, its own little world. We don't get to interact with Augusta like we do when I'm working with Copilot, right? So we are kind of out. We were outside of that realm. Um, but finding out about it, it's like, wow, the immense opportunity is incredible.
Yeah, for sure. So when you were working at the chocolate factory, you were working a lot less Anytime Fitness. And what kind of role had they given you there, and what were you doing for them?
Yeah, so I was, I think my title was Continuous Improvements Manager at that time. So what that meant, I was helping out with their production scheduling. I was helping out with their expansion. They were getting a lot new machinery, so helping out with like reorganizing the factory. What would that look like? How would that increase our production? Kind of like a lot of just how could they improve as a business and helping them make those decisions, and yeah, training this team as well.
Yeah, so he came to me one day and he said, all of this was happening with Copilot and he couldn't do everything and he needed someone. And I don't remember which of us mentioned you first, but we were like, yeah, she would be perfect. Do you think she'd come here? And he said, I don't think so. They are really dependent on her and all this stuff. So I remember asking you to come and for us to talk. I don't remember everything we talked about, but I was trying to poach you from that place for sure. And can you tell me about that? And Mike approaching you, what did that seem like to you?
Yeah, I mean, it caught me off guard, definitely. Um, and yeah, I mean, I came over to the office. I met everyone on the Copilot team. I talked to Liz. Mike came to the gym. He would talk to me. He was like sending me videos, trying to like explain stuff. It was a matter of like, it was probably like a good couple weeks where I was just not sleeping. Like I was in limbo, just be like, what am I going to do? Yeah, it was just a matter of like, do I stay with something I know and I'm comfortable with in an industry that I know in and out? Or do I jump ship and like start something new where I can really see the growth and potential for my future?
Yeah.
And I decided to jump.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Copilot and where they were when you started. Well, first of all, just say what Copilot is and why we're even talking about it today.
Yeah, so Copilot is a CRM, so customer relationship management software. And we are, for any home service businesses, you can do your customer management, your invoicing, your scheduling, your tracking, your estimates, like all of that is what Copilot does. And sorry, when I first started, right. So when I first started, it was January 2024. So they had just launched like a couple months prior to that. Well, a lot of months prior to that, but they had just gone through the price lock.
Yes.
So they exponentially grew when I first started, and I just jumped into the deep end. And like, it was a big learning curve. Just kind of got thrown in, had to learn the software. I had never worked at a software company, so learned how that operated. So yeah, at first it was like, wow, like this is crazy, this is great. And then we hit bug hell, as I think everyone knows. And yeah, that was a very difficult time. You heard from Mike talk about it, and I think it was just really difficult for all of us because we only had a handful of team members who could actually do something about it. I think that's where I really struggled. Like we didn't have a tangible good. It wasn't like a broken machine that I could physically go and fix and figure it out. We really had to like depend and rely on our remote team, and yeah, and it was difficult. It was very difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine. It was a very stressful time for all of us, for sure. And I'm glad you came on when you did. It would have been worse for him. So even though you were struggling, we saw what he went through during that time, and I'm sure glad that we had you. So, do you think that your schooling had anything to do with how good you are at your job, or has it had any impact on what you do?
I mean, my specific degree, I would say not really, just because there's like international studies related. But what I think it did do is it provided me these skill sets of just like organization, time management. Like I can juggle a lot of things at once. I can be like locked in. I can be committed to something for the long term, knowing like I may not see these results for 3, 4 years, but like I've got to grind and like work every day to get to that end destination that I want to. So it's probably more like the skills rather than the actual material that I learned.
Yeah. Would you agree that it's like the you learned how to learn,
Yes,
like
exactly.
stackable skills? Yeah. I
Yeah.
know that Zach had told me that he would never hire anybody with a degree on the media team because they were too structured and too set in a box to be a creative. And so, have you found that that has benefited you now that you have to just get in and figure stuff out? Is Mike, has he given you a position of autonomy where he just says, do this and run?
Yeah, pretty much, which has been really nice. Like as a leader, I love that. He's there when I need him, and he'll answer the questions when I need it. But at the same time, he's not like not micromanaging, not looking over my shoulder. He just trusts that I'll be able to figure it out and make it happen. And yeah, I think that's where the skills get me is okay. I need to do this, and it's on me to figure out how to get it done. And yeah.
Yeah, so you've been there 13 months now.
Mhm.
So, what are you working on right now, and how far has Copilot come since you've been there, since you started?
Yeah, so right now we've been doing a lot of hiring. So we have, I think we brought on 3 team members in the last month, and we have another exciting announcement coming Monday with another one. So it's just been a lot of hiring and recruiting for me personally, and then also as an organization. Copilot is really trying to get back into that innovation stage.
Hmm.
Uh, the last year has been building the foundations, rebuilding our structures, building a solid team. Now we're going to start getting into more of the fun stuff, right? The things, the changes that we want to see, the improvements that we want to see that all of our team is most excited about.
Yeah, that's so cool. And the positions that you're hiring for, these are pretty high level people. So, how do you find people like this, and what kind of titles are they?
Yeah, so most of our recent hires have been word of mouth. So even Josh, so when he got brought on as VP of product, we met Josh through one of the existing partner contracting companies we were working with. They knew Josh and they're like, hey, Josh would be great. Let's bring him on. And then that just opened the floodgates of a network of people that have come in ever since. So everyone we've brought in since has been word of mouth and has been recommended by our existing team. And the type of titles we're now hiring are like senior product engineer, senior full stack engineer. We've got a head of design. So a lot of like product and engineering roles.
So when you are working there and you have this Copilot software, what other platforms do you use with all your team? I know at Command Center we just our communication apps are so many. They fill one of my screens, and when they're all stacked across the screen. So what are some of the integrations that you use and some of the things you use for your team?
Yeah, we internally use Slack as our internal communication. We've got Jira is what we currently use for our tickets for our engineering and product teams. We use something called Notion. That's for our documentation. Um, I use Bamboo HR. That was something I launched in January, and that's my like HR management and payroll. We still have QuickBooks. Like these softwares that you have to have as a software company is crazy. Like I never expected that, but we've got a long list of things we use.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So the learning curve has been huge for you.
Yes. Yeah, it's been amazing, and it's challenged me in ways that I never think it would have. I've
Hmm.
learned so much in the last, like literally in the last 2 months, I've learned so much. So when you think about a year, there's so many things I never did before, and have just had to figure it out.
Yeah. So your title there is operations manager. So who are you over, and how does it work with those around you? The devs being, I guess you would say, higher than you, or just in a whole different position, or how do you integrate with all these different people?
Yeah, so in my position, I'm kind of like leading the customer experience team. So that involves our customer success and our customer support teams, and then also our sales. Um, like that's my direct report. And then I am also working with P4P. So I'm helping kind of just guide P4P, their employee,
Hmm.
helping her with all of that. So those are kind of like my direct reports and interactions. And then really the departments of the developers and then our product team are kind of like the two other pillars of our company. So yeah.
So in your role, and you're communicating with these higher level people that have, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years worth of experience as engineers and things, and working with the other caliber of that people. How do you posture yourself as not really knowing much about it? You've worked with people and stuff, but how do you interact with them, and what is your whole thought process to try to communicate with them?
Yes, so it definitely is intimidating at times because I know I don't know everything, and that's okay. I've kind of learned just over communicate and ask questions. So I have a really great relationship with the other two leaders. And so if I ever need anything, or if I'm ever just, hey, can I sit in on this meeting? Like I just want to be a fly on the wall to understand and absorb and like learn the jargon, learn and understand what we're doing. They're always super open and receptive to that. So it's a lot of just like asking questions and learning from them directly.
So you came to Blue Collar Summit. You had a booth there for Copilot. Tell me what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, Blue Collar Summit was so fun. That was the first conference I've ever gone to as a guest, as like a attendee. Um, and it was awesome. Like I think it was so beneficial to have like myself, Josh, like a product team, all of our staff to meet our users face to face and
Yes.
hear feedback, not even our users, but just hear feedback from people in the industry. Like, what are the things they struggle with? And how can we make an impact to better that and like make their lives easier? So, the benefits to meet those people face to face was so much fun, like, so incredible. We often just see their names on a screen, so to be able to like put a face to the name, had really great conversations.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you and I work in the same building for now. We have multiple companies that are mics, and
Mhm.
we're all stuck in this one huge place that used to be a Hanes store. And it's interesting. So we had to rent the building beside just to use the bathroom over there with the amount of people that we have. And then we have a lot of remote workers. Would you say we have remote now from Copilot?
Yeah, so we have 31 who are remote. Yep.
Incredible. So they would
Yep.
never fit in there. And I have about that same amount for the command center. So it's good we're all not together because we would never fit in that building. But we're building a headquarters. And what is it like for you to be in a room with other companies that Mike owns, but not really the people that you're working with as your own teammates?
Yeah, I honestly love it. I mean, Copilot, we supply, like, we are the CRM for Augusta. So the fact that we can just go over in person and talk through an issue that we're seeing or get feedback directly from Command Center to be like, what's working in the software for you guys? What's not? Like, what are you hearing from owners? That is incredible. Like, I don't think any other software company has that advantage to be so close and have such a close partnership with an industry and with like a business utilizing our services as big as Augusta. So I love it. And I think it's also really nice to just build relationships and friendships with people who work at Command Center, who work in the media team. And yeah, it's awesome.
Well, right to your left there is a little wall, and that's
Yeah.
your P for P employee. And
Yep.
then right down the line after that, it's all Augusta. And we are very careful to keep the companies separate. And when we say, oh, this is a Copilot issue, we're able to message just like the customers and Augusta they have a WhatsApp that they can communicate with you. So we do treat it very separate, and yet, like you said, if there's any issue, that means every user of Copilot is maybe having that issue, and the fact that we can all work together and find out what it is and figure it out. And some of those users probably never know because we have hundreds of people, us and our franchisees, using the software in every single thing it is. We created Copilot because of the software we used. Whatever we liked, we built in Copilot. Whatever we didn't like, we made sure it was never going to be in there to try to please the customer. So we have such a unique relationship. And back to the summit, I actually gave you a role to be in charge. My goal is that all these companies would be very cohesive by the end of the conference. And some of us have never worked together at all. So to put us all together, make us all have to work together and put on the summit was really awesome. So we divided everything up into teams, and we had a banner team and a registration team and the media team and all of these different teams that we meshed people in together. And tell me about what you did and how that went down.
Yeah, so I was on the banners team. So we set up all of the booths and then all the main registration banner. We quick went in there at like 4:30 in the morning before conference started and just set them all up. And then from there I did a bit of like Q&A mic running. But really I love that because in that instance we weren't Copilot, we weren't Command Center, we weren't media team, we were all one team, and it was just keeping an eye out as like, where can I help you? Like, oh, this person needs help, like let me just jump in. So I like we all worked so well together and just pitched in wherever we needed it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And how does it work with me being the COO of all the companies? What is your and my relationship, and do we work together, and how is that?
Yes. So Liz and I work very closely together. We sit down every single week and just kind of giving updates to one another of like, I'm saying, here's what's happening in Copilot. Here's some big things that you should be aware of. And then vice versa. It's just, I'm asking you, are you hearing any issues from Command Center that need to be resolved? Or like, how can Copilot better support your team? And then we also commute, like every single day I talk to you. So as things come up, whether it's internal employee related and there's some things we need to get answers on, you always help me out with that so much. And we just have a really great, I think, communication between you and I.
Yeah, which makes this all just so incredible, having Zach in charge of the media team and then us, and then all of us being able to run our departments, and then Mike come in and we hash out ideas. All of us separately with the different companies meet with him, and then we all do our thing. And so it's pretty awesome. Right now he's at 4 turnarounds and we're all running our departments and it's going very well. So it just, it's a testament to the people that he's hired and that he has a lot of trust in you. And, he gives you a lot of autonomy to make decisions and to do what you do. And it is like, what do you think it was about you that attracted Mike to you, that he would want you for this position now that you've been in it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like he saw me at the gym. I would like to think is just like hard work. He saw a commitment of follow through on ideas or issues, upholding a standard as well, like cleanliness in the gym. I'd like to say like kind of that type of stuff is just getting the stuff done, figuring it out, trying to be as independent as possible. And Mike's a busy guy, so not having to constantly run everything by him and just having that confidence, I guess, to just make those calls
Mhm.
and run with it. And if I mess up, I'll own it. I'll say, yeah, sorry, that was me. Wrong decision. You're right. And then we'll change it and move on.
Yeah, that's awesome. So everybody has a certain kind of quality of attitude and spirit and atmosphere that they create. And you have the same thing that the rest of us have at Augusta. And I think you recognize that in you. And so, what do you do to work on yourself, to better yourself? Do you listen to music, podcasts? Do you listen to software things? Do you take classes? Like, what do you do for yourself?
Yeah, so I like to think about, I have like my personal development and then professional development. So
Oh,
with
that's good.
professional development, I listen to a lot of podcasts, audiobooks, just trying to learn. Like I'm listening to an audiobook about just like engineering management. And even though I'm not an engineering manager, it's just
Yeah.
like to know, to understand,
Yes.
and keep learning. So on a professional side, definitely that. And then personally, yeah, I love listening to podcasts. I love like running. I enjoy just like challenging. I think as I get older, just like challenging and like figuring out myself and like building community and friendships and all of that.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And do you play any sports or?
I do. So I grew up playing soccer and I still am on a couple, like an outdoor soccer team and an indoor soccer team. So I love team sports. So it's fun to play as an adult.
And I was interviewing somebody else, and we were talking about how expensive it is in this area to own a home and even to rent. It's as much as a mortgage. So I think you recently got a place. What have you been doing to it?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we saved up for a long time. We lived in a little studio apartment for the 4.5 years we lived here. Saved every penny we could. But yeah, we've done like we completely refinished our deck. We tore down this one part of it. We like restained it, repainted it. We have we had a bunch of overgrowth in our garden, so there was a lot of like landscaping and like clearing out that. We built like a little stream to have better water drainage. Um, yeah, a lot of like outdoor projects for the time being.
Nice. And then you do you have a lot to do on the inside?
Yes, we do. But we do have a couple housemates. We're just kind of like trying to still save what we can. So we do live with a couple other people. It's not ideal, but it's like, hey, we're gonna do that. We're gonna sacrifice now in order to
Yes.
save as much money as we can. And so we're waiting until after the housemates move
Mhm.
out to do stuff inside.
Fantastic. So, what would you say to other young women in your position who have went to school for one thing and now they're not even doing anything remotely like that? But what would you tell them looking at their future and kind of it being uncertain?
I think uncertainty is good. I think you have to try new things to figure out what you do like or don't like. And you never know the opportunities that are going to come. Because exactly in that situation is like, I'm going to go work at a gym. Well, I didn't like that, but out of that came this opportunity to work with Mike at Copilot. And I think also just like challenge yourself. Like things aren't going to be easy. You're not going to get those instant gratifications, and that's okay. Just keep grinding and like keep learning, keep doing your professional development and personal development, um, and also like find a mentor. Like I really look up to Liz. I think she's like so confident. She's got the ultimate like, I'm gonna figure it out and I'm gonna get it done. And like yeah, I really look up to you, Liz. And so finding like someone that you can look up to who's a woman in the industry.
Oh my goodness. I didn't expect you to say that.
There you go. I'm being open. It's a podcast, right?
Oh, that's awesome. That's totally cool. So you would recommend that they have no expectation, but they build themselves as a person, and maybe somebody would recognize the quality that they have and give them that opportunity just because they've watched them.
Exactly. Yeah. Go figure out what you like, what you don't like, and do your best. Whether you do like it or not, just like do your best, try your best. You never know who's watching. You never know. what connections you're going to make.
Mm-hmm. So what's the future of Copilot, and where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh my gosh, 5 years. That's like a dream. um, So yeah, future of Copilot, like I said, like we've really made some key hires. Another big announcement coming Monday that honestly I think just like solidifies the direction that we're going. So I'm super excited for the getting back to like innovation. Like 5 years from now, I imagine hopefully we're in a new command center building.
Yes.
So in a new office, but really just past the point of not just meeting where our competitors are at, but then excelling beyond that and really starting to do things that nobody has ever done and continuing to innovate. All these other softwares that have stalled, like we don't want to ever do that. Like we're just going to keep innovating and improving.
That's fantastic. And personally, you have any fitness goals that are long-term, family goals? You should probably tell us what your husband does, which is very rare.
Yes. So he is a mountain biker. So he works full time with a normal job, and then he's also a semi-professional mountain biker. So
Cool.
travels all around the world and does that. Very scary.
No kidding.
Yeah. And then myself, I did struggle with a running injury last year, so I'm just getting back into it. I'm doing a half marathon in a couple weeks, and then I would love to do another marathon. I don't think I've told anyone this before, but someday I would love to do an Ironman.
Nice.
Yes, that is on my list. So yeah, those are kind of like my personal goals. I'd love to get a dog. That's a huge thing for me. So yeah, that's kind of me.
So yeah, I guess you got to be home to have an animal. So that's what I always tell people. Not home, so they die of loneliness.
Exactly. That's exactly why we don't have one.
Yeah, someday maybe.
Yeah.
Well, and then you got to add to that bucket list that you're going to do a Spartan with Liz.
Yes. We've talked about it. So stay tuned.
But of course, you're running away to Australia on the day I'm doing my Spartan. So
I know.
well,
we'll get the next one.
Yes, in September.
Yes.
So, any closing thoughts, quotes, anything you want to share?
Just thank you. Thank you for having me on this podcast. I've never done like a long form interview like this. So there's no one I'd want to do my first one with than you. Very, very comfortable talking to you. So thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, I'm just really happy to keep growing.
Awesome. Me too. I look forward to a crazy future, and we'll have to touch base in a couple years and see how big and blown up this thing has become.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll have to play this video, and then where we are now.
100%. All right. Well, thank you, and you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.